What's going on, Will Freemen, Revolutionary LifestyleDesign.com, talking to you today about how to survive and thrive in 2023. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Hope you're being blessed right now as we speak. I want to talk about how to, first of all, survive this year. Second of all, how to win and thrive and do better. First thing you got to deal with is the recession that's coming up, or depending on how you believe, already here. The way to deal with this recession is the same way to deal with all the other recessions, which is to go harder on your business, reinvest heavier, pick up those clients or customers that are going to be lost from your competitors that die. It's the same strategy during COVID. Not sure why everyone's super worried about this recession because the pandemic was basically like a depression in the sense of there was periods where 70-80% of businesses were closed, not to be opened again. Now there was stimulus money, which provided for all-time highs in the stock market, which was interesting. Kind of proves that there's no longer much of a correlation between the actual health of the average business and the health of a public company. It seems that the correlation for all assets, whether it's Bitcoin, equities, you name it, property, is when they turn on the money printer, when they are printing money, assets go up. When the money printer is turned off, assets go down. This is the new economy. So that's why the economy, at least on paper during the pandemic, looked good, but the actual economy in terms of your business, in terms of getting clients and customers, was far, far worse during the pandemic. So if you've made it through that and your business is still intact, I wouldn't worry too much about a recession. Recessions happen every 8 years or so. It might mean that spending is down. Some of your customers or clients go out of business. Whatever, just increase the volume. Not a big deal. Not something that I would be particularly worried about, unless when it comes to your assets. But that's another story. I recommend probably investing heavier in your business or businesses, not just in terms of asset protection, but in terms of inflation, which is our second problem. So it's two birds with one stone. True inflation numbers, I think, are closer to 20% if you look at true inflation in those sites, or at least they might have been. They might be down now as they're raising rates, but to get the high inflation down in the 70s, they had to raise rates up to 18%, which I don't think they can do now. I don't think they can sustain the debt and all these things, raising rates that high. I do think maybe the current rate raise is slowing the inflation. I would hope so. But I would guess we're dealing with high inflation for the next few years, if not the next decade, into some type of a currency reset, which might reset the system in regards to inflation, which I'll talk about later on in this video. But the solution to both, what to do with your assets if you're struggling, or if your business is down and inflation, is to go harder into your business, ideally into some type of flywheel, meaning you've got paid ads working, or you've got organic content working, and you can amplify that, you can put money behind that, or you've got something running to a newsletter which you're selling affiliate deals to, and you can start spending money to get a newsletter subscriber, or you're a lawyer or you're in an engineering firm, and instead of taking home 50% profit every month, you put that 50%, you take a tighter salary, you don't take home your 20-30K, you put 20K back into marketing or into hiring sales guys, and you aim to eat up the competition, and you aim to scale up to, instead of 50K, you're going for 200K. So this is what I think the new number is now, not just for this year, but leading into this decade, is you want to be taking home 200K a month, because we're looking at high inflation, we're looking at a recession, we're looking at the reset of the financial system in terms of central bank digital currencies, where this is a new currency, folks. Okay, it will be called the dollar, but it's a completely new currency. We don't know how it's going to roll out. I do have a course coming up on that this year, which I think will be super useful to you. But it could roll out and it could be revalued at 70% of the current rate of the USD, or it could roll out and they don't give you a one-to-one conversion on it. They give you a half on it, or it could roll out and they give you a one-to-one conversion on it, but you're not seeing that money till 2, 3 years later, which is why I'd be cautious about having a bunch of cash in the bank leading up to the currency reset. It's actually something I'm going to cover, not just in the course, but I'm going to do a full video on it for you in January this month. So stay tuned for that because it's quite a lot of material to cover. But let's just talk about the business aspect of it. So, we're dealing with 10% inflation, maybe 20. That might be the next 2, 3, 4 years, maybe the next decade. You've got to keep pace with that in your business. If not, destroy it. And business is really the only place that you can consistently beat that level of inflation. You're not going to beat it in the market. I'm not even sure if the market's beating inflation over the last 10 to 15 years. It just might be tracking the true numbers. Real estate only tracks the inflation number. You can read my articles from 7 or 8 years ago on the Schiller Index that talk about over 100 years in America in the 20th century. Real estate was up 1% above inflation. So real estate pretty much tracks inflation. Gold's been up maybe 4 or 5% a year since 1971, since they delinked it to the US dollar. 4 or 5% on top of inflation, which is good. Equities, as I said, I'm not sure if they've even been beating it for the last 10 to 15 years. Bitcoin has been crushing it, but as you know, Bitcoin's down probably 80% of where it was around this time last year. So it's not something you can exactly bank on. If it's something you're buying for the next decade with a portion of your bag, then that's something, but it's not something I'd want to be into 100%. I'm actually going to do part 3 of my crypto video series at some point this year to talk more about that. But Bitcoin over the last 10 years has certainly been beating inflation, but it's not a chart that gives you a lot of stability. If you're talking about, that is your nest egg, that is your sort of cushion, and cash is certainly getting slaughtered by it. You probably lost whatever you had in terms of your net worth in cash last year by 10, 15, 20%. And the funny thing was, it seemed like the smart move to put it into Bitcoin, something that was an inflation hedge, or into gold, but you put it into Bitcoin, and not only did you get hit by inflation, but you got hit by an 80% drop in inflation, because it turns out not really an inflation hedge. It's more of just a corollary with the money printer, which seems to be almost all the assets except for gold at this point. Gold's kind of been on a steady upward curve since 1970 or so. So had you done that, that would have added insult to injury. The big thing where you can really generate the returns is your business. And in the growth stages of business, you can get 100%, 200%, 300%, 3,000% return on your initial investment in the growth stage if you've got a hot one. And you can get those thousands of percent, not just in year 1, but year 2, year 3. It's not until you're up at 5 or 6 million or whatever to where it starts to level out and you're getting 50 or 60 or 70, and then eventually it might settle into 20 or 30%, which is still better than equities. It's still better than Warren Buffett's investment track record. It's still better than Paul Tudor Jones' investment track record, even at a settled down 20%. So business is really the only way to get rich. As you might have heard that more millionaires made their money from real estate than anything else. That might be true, but they didn't get the money to invest in real estate without building out some type of business. Even Warren Buffett is not an investor. He's a business owner who owns Berkshire Hathaway, which owns a bunch of different businesses, and he's in the business of he gets investment because he does better than the 8% that the S&P offers. He's in the service business. So every one of those Forbes 500 guys is a business owner. Steve Jobs, Bill Gates. Okay, yes, some guys have made money from business, put it into real estate, made a bunch of money there, but you don't get the 200, 300, 400K to go into real estate without, either having a high paying job or being an entrepreneur who's able to generate well above, you know, disposable income that he could invest. The average job worker can't get into real estate except through the back door from wholesaling, real estate wholesaling. But that is a business. That's a part-time, if not full-time business to get that off the ground. Um, so even within that vehicle in real estate, it is a business. Um, so you've got to go harder on your business and aim to capture 100% return on your investment this year, 200%, 300%, 400%, 500%. That solves inflation. Um, that solves the asset market, bear market that we're in across the board, to where instead of taking your money out every month, you're putting it back in to a high growth vehicle. And it also prepares you well for a potential currency reset where you might get less than 1 to 1, or they might do what they did in Brazil, which was like they say, poor people get 1 to 1, maybe 3 grand in the bank so that they don't riot. Anyone above 40K, you're getting a 1 to 1 conversion, but you're going to have to wait. And they give it to you 3 years later when the currency's worth 80% of what it used to be, because it's a completely new currency and they've wiped off bond debts and all these other things, which I'll get into in my currency reset video. So you don't want to be leading up to the full currency reset holding a bunch of cash, okay, and being at the mercy of how much they are going to convert that over to the CBDC. But looking at assets right now, those aren't doing particularly great, and the assets won't get you rich for the most part anyways. They only get you richer when you're already wealthy. Um, but that would have to be like you're getting 10%, 15% on your portfolio, whatever, and you've got a mil, 2 mil, 10 mil, like some of the guys in my RLD Brotherhood, or I know a decent amount of guys who are above that deca millionaire range in the 10, 15, $20 million range. Yeah, they can live easily off their 10 to 15% a year. But the average guy, um, even the average wealthy guy, that's not a whole lot. And as far as I'm concerned, those aren't even beating inflation right now. So you've got to aim to do at least 15% on your net worth, or 10% to break even. Um, and the one best place for that is reinvesting into your private business, into some type of marketing or sales flywheel. Perhaps investing in some of into courses to get your education right. You can invest in our brotherhood, revolutionarylifestyledesign.com/brotherhood. We've got a lot of good game, a lot of successful guys in there, not just on business, but investing and on these types of strategies. Your high margin business, or even if it's a medium margin business, but you've got a flywheel to invest in, is going to get you through this year. And that old target that I've been talking about, as you know, I've been doing RLD since 2012, which was move abroad, geo arbitrage your income to Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe, Latin America, where it's 3-4 times cheaper. Minimize your tax burden if you're an American from the foreign earned income exclusion, as well as redomiciling your business. Or if you're like me, a Canadian, Australian, UK, Irish, New Zealander, declare non-residence in your home country, so that you're not liable for your home country tax. Live in a non-domicile country, run your business out of Dubai or whatever, and you've effectively and legally eliminated your tax burden, and aim to make 20K a month in a lifestyle business, 25K a month. That's been my strategy. It's did me pretty well in my 30s. Now at 40, on the cusp of the reset, inflation, artificial intelligence stepping its game up. How much of your currency would actually be getting converted potential hyperinflation scenario this decade. I'm leaning sort of against it. There certainly will be in some countries. I don't know about the U.S. dollar. I'd probably lean against it. Um, all those factors means the new target is not 20K a month, it's 200K a month. 200K a month. Because we've got a plan for what does 200K look like 10 years from now if we're at 10, 15% inflation, if not more, the reset. There's so many different factors, and there's so many different strategies, but the best way is just to get rich for sure. Aim to be taking home $200 million. I'm talking about after expenses are paid, 200K per month. That's what you should be aiming for, and you should be going super hard into that business. And if that business doesn't have a flywheel, but you're relatively above it, you could consider launching perhaps another business, which I have done. I've got a sales closing company now. I'm also extending this content media empire. I've launched a completely new business in terms of content marketing, as well as this year I'm planning on launching 40 courses or so. We've also got the Brotherhood. So, if you don't quite have the flywheel in business number one, but you're above business number one, you could look at where the high margin flywheel is going to be, or if you could add one to. If you're not quite in the stage where you're above business number one, get above business number one. Try and find a flywheel within it. If you can't, aim for another business where you can find a flywheel that is either cold ads or hiring of salespeople or email marketing, SMS marketing, bulk voicemail drops, or let's say it's a content business, the hiring of the writers, the hiring of the videographers on a massive level at low cost, or selling guys into some newsletter campaign, some type of relatively low friction moneymaker that's going to earn you either new followers that can be converted, new customers if it's a product-based business, or new clients if it's a service business that are going to continue to give you recurring income over time, and you only have to kind of pay for them once in terms of the flywheel. And the flywheel is 100, 200%, ROI type of flywheel, where ideally that return is back to you within the next month or the next 6 months or the next year. In some industries, it's going to be a longer cycle before you get that money back. Like if you were I've got a client that's running, a very fast growing Substack off of his Twitter, and we determined he could run Twitter ads to Twitter, buy, spend 200K, pick up 100,000 Twitter followers. Within 2 years, he's going to get that money back because of the conversions through his Substack, or maybe a year and a half. And then we're just determining, if that investment is worth it on, a year and a half, 2 year timeline to get that money back, versus do we run ads on the Substack directly, or do we run ads on a couple of the other ventures that he has where perhaps that money could be returned within a month or so. But on those other ventures, it's more of a ad into selling a product where you kind of only get that money once, whereas on let's say a social media follower, like for example my YouTube channel, if you've been watching my stuff for a while and you like my stuff, you could be investing with me over the next decade, over the next 2 decades, over the next 3 decades. So there is something to be said about investing in some type of follower or subscriber, even if it's a longer tail to get that money back, because they have to watch you for a certain while. But that's a potential customer or client for life. It's up to you to determine what you think the best flywheel is. But hopefully you get an idea of what a flywheel is. And so let's say you're, making 100K a month in revenue or whatever, and you're taking home 30K. Instead of pulling that whole 30K out and spending 10 and putting 20K into your investments, pull out the 10 to live on. If you're living in America, if you're living abroad like I do, you can live on less and still live very well. But put the 20K back into a flywheel. And if you don't have one, find a flywheel. If you can't find one in your current business, find something where you can put that fucking 20K back, get 100% or 200% ROI on it, get within the next month. So that 20K you put in January turns to 40K in February, and that turns to 80K, da 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 da, so that you can scale that up to the 2 or 300K and per month. That's the only way that I see to get through this decade for sure. Is being in the 1% is not enough. 1% is geo arbitrage, make 20K a month, live in Thailand. In fact, you're probably in the 0.01%. You got to aim for the 0.001% to where this thing is solved for sure. There's just too much chaos, too much uncertainty, too many ways to get hit from all these things that are coming down the pipe, both this year and in the future, that you just need to get into the 0.001% for sure. Still move abroad, still geo arbitrage the income, but aim to buy a developing world, to be able to buy a developing world condo every month. And I call this the go exponential strategy, right? Go throw the money back into your business, go exponential. You get up to 200K a month take home, even the reset hits, you can deal with pretty much anything. You could deal with the currency being, valued at 80% less of what it used to be. You're still going to be taking home the equivalent of $40,000, and your competitors are going to get destroyed. You're going to be able to pick up all that business. So you need to get the income up to an exponential level so that whatever happens, you can handle it. Not to mention, if you can just get one good year exponentially, right? There's a 4-bedroom penthouse condo in Bangkok. There's a Toyota Fortuner. Take the Toyota logo off. It doesn't quite look like a Range, but it's a nice $30,000 car. There's supplies for the next 10 years. There's paying off all your web hosting bills and business bills. There's paying your phone bill for 10 years. There's a second lifestyle property in, let's say, Batumi in Georgia for 300 grand. Killer property. You've got base 1 and base 2. You've got your assets in something physical like real estate that's going to track inflation, and you take the rest and put it into cash and gold. Well, not quite the rest. The rest that you pulled out, put it into cash and gold. Keep putting the rest into the business. Point being, if you go exponential, you made, you might have saved in that 1 year 10 times more than you saved in your entire life before that. So even just 1 or 2 good years after you've gone exponential puts you in a net worth position to ideally survive whatever's going to come down the pipe for the rest of this decade. And here's why I think so. Because if the guy making 200 grand a month can't survive, who's going to survive, right? These changes have to be implemented, by the wealthy people in that particular country, right? And if you're living in Thailand and you can't get by on 200K a month, which officials are rolling out this change? Which officials are rolling out changes where they and their families couldn't get by? So I think that's the best game plan for this year in regards to finances. It's also a solid game plan for the next decade. But stay tuned. I'm going to have courses on how to survive the next decade on each individual section in terms of investing, trading, what to do about social credit, what to do about carbon credits, what to do about all these different things that are going to be implemented on a worldwide scale. None of this will be political. None of this will be negative. This will all be specific strategies for you to survive and thrive. So stay tuned for those videos. Stay tuned for those courses. This is what I've been working on, amongst other things, for the last 2 years, as I haven't been posting much, and I've been doing a ton of coaching and messaging within my brotherhood to make sure that I have this perfect before I put it out to you guys. Final thing for this year to deal with is AI. I've known for the last 5 years that I'm not just going to be able to randomly pick video titles and get attention. In the last 2 years, I haven't really been trying to do anything that's going to get me attention across outside of just doing videos for you guys, for my existing audience already, doing the kind of videos that I wanted to do. Um, but I was able to at least build this channel out of some of the SEO that I was doing on my website and then embedding videos into that. Even that's going to be dead with the release of ChatGPT. If you don't know it, check it out. Um, the ability to get your content seen is was in the future AI. Now it's here. Now it's here. You are going to need, if you have any type of brand at all, be it personal or business, you're going to need to leverage not just RFs for SEO, not just vidIQ for YouTube. You're going to start to need to leverage artificial intelligence like ChatGPT for titles, for descriptions, for helping you to write the content, because you're going to be competing with sophisticated AIs. And the beginning of I think this is the official beginning of the AI war. It's been there for other businesses, but now it's made it into the content businesses, and the branding businesses, which affects every business, websites, which is going to affect every business. And there is not going to be a business that's not affected by this over the next 5 years. Even my client's engineering business, which is selling a lot to guys in their 50s and 60s who can't work email, we found a way to implement not quite AI yet, but disruptive softwares to that business. So whatever your industry is, you've got to get on top of the latest AI right now. Do not let your competitors steal this opportunity, because I truly believe that it's only going to be a matter of time before it's a full-on arms race with AI. And it might be a Bitcoin situation where before you can mine Bitcoin at home, now you need a whole storage facility and cooling racks, and it's expensive. And if we are competing with AI, it's going to be the AI with the most computation wins. So you'll have some kind of customized version of ChatGPT or whatever it is for your industry. You'll have a human behavior engineer programmer updating it. You even the outside the box, or the paid solution built on OpenAI won't be enough. And you're going to need heavy investment, heavy computational power, da 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 da. So you don't want that to happen before you got your money up, before you got familiar with AI, before you utilize the technology. We have like maybe a year, 2 year, 3 year window to utilize this before it starts to cost a lot of money, and a lot of people are going to be priced out, and they won't have got used to the technology and been sophisticated enough and hired the people to utilize the technology. Do not fucking sleep on this. I'm telling you, I don't care what your industry is, but look into all the AI solutions for your industry, especially if you're in any type of branding, anything that's website facing, anything that's social media, anything that involves cold ads, warm ads, newsletter campaigns, you name it. Sales and marketing, got to get into that AI. We're on it in our sales closing business. And if you're interested, if you're doing more than 20K a month, go to revolutionarylifestyldesign.com/services. Book a call if you think that you'd be of interest of us. Writing your scripts, objection management, taking over your sales management, hiring, training, commission-only sales staff. And for certain customers, we'll also do the marketing, which is what I'm doing with one of my clients right now. We won't pay for the marketing, but we'll run your marketing campaigns. Whether it's direct mail, bulk SMS, bulk voicemails, I could put you on to one of my killers who does cold ads, warm ads, you name it. If you're the right fit, we could manage that as well. We just need to be making enough money off you per month for that to be feasible. So you could reach out to us in that regard. But either way, whatever your industry is, you got to be in on it. AI. And if you haven't made the move abroad and you're a Canadian, Australian, New Zealander, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. If you like being in a Western country paying 40% tax when you could just get on a plane to a non-domicile tax country and run your business out of Dubai, by all means. But, if you're still paying full freight tax and you could minimize that by getting on a plane, do that. Use it to reinvest into your flywheel. If you're an American, you're going to be paying taxes, but you can re-domicile into a BVI-owned multi-member LLC, or you can also move abroad and get that 120K from the foreign earned income exclusion. And that's a great way to free up some money to reinvest into your business. Not to mention, you can get the expenses down by moving abroad. So I'd strongly consider those suggestions. If you want more game like this, it's too late. Coaching program is currently over. I might reset that up in the future, but right now I'm just using or staying with my current coaching clients. But stay tuned for all my my courses on money and business coming out this year. I don't know if I'll get a chance to do the business ones, but I'll get the money ones out. And join the Brotherhood, revolutionarylifestyledesign.com/brotherhood. Current price is $500. It's probably going up in Q1 next year. Lifetime membership. We have maybe 40 or 50 guys in there. 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure entrepreneurs. Everyone's sharp. Everyone's used to being the smartest guy in the room. Everyone's got good business data as well as investing data as well as survival strategies for this next decade. If you have any interest in that, you will not regret it, in my opinion. Other than that, God bless you. Hope this year treats you well. Hope this is the best financial year of your life and you make the most of it and you go super hard. And that you've had a wonderful Christmas, New Year's, and hopefully that puts you on the right path and gets you a good start for the rest of the year. God bless you. I'll speak to you soon.